All right, everybody. I have the magical Aaron on the magical last day of the magical month of June. Tonight's spirit animal hypnosis session, which is going to happen in an hour, is hummingbird. Hey, Aaron, want to take a guess at what animal I saw earlier today?
A hummingbird.
What? You are psychic. and just to be like full on Disney princess about it, I was meeting two friends. So I was friend number 3 at this really pretty hike, and I was third friend to get there. I'm the one that lives further away, so I was a couple minutes late, and they were already at a picnic table waiting for me. And so we all had to pass through this one passageway with wildflowers and all of that. And so I saw a couple of butterflies. I was like, oh yeah, Disney princess in full effect. And then a hummingbird came by and just like danced and flitted around a few flowers. And then when I gawked and watched him for probably a full 30 seconds, but then I was like, I'm already late, better move on. Got to the friends and I was like, did you guys see the hummingbird? And they were like, no. And then part of me was sad for them, and part of me was like, okay, extra magic if I'm the only one who got to see it. I'm not above it. I'm not above it, Aaron. I did feel special in that moment.
It's okay. There's nothing wrong with that.
I want to be perfect and all like, yay, kumbaya for everyone. But I'm like, no, I like special treatment sometimes.
And look, we're not meant to all see the same things, so it's okay.
Very true. Okay, now I'm looking down at my phone because we have so much cool shit happening in this conversation. I'm looking at my notes of paper. I'm looking at a book. I'm looking at my phone. I've got another note on my laptop. Like there are all of these different really cool topics that we're going to be covering today, including psychic attacks. I had dreams this week, Aaron. We'll get to that in a second. Telepathic cats. We've already delved into that a little bit. Past lives. And then also the question of, can you incarnate only once on Earth? I have opinions about that. I would love to hear your opinions about it. And I now have a more informed opinion about two things, thanks to this book, The Power of Now by Eckhart. Is it Tolle or Tolle? Tolle?
I think it's totally, but I've heard
I know. I think
multiple
no one knows.
pronunciations.
I think he's probably all like, we put too much energy and investment into words, and I'm sure he says what it is, but probably likes that nobody knows what it is because he's very like,
Probably that
we put
fits.
too much into words anyway. So, but I've been reading this, and I never thought I was a books on tape kind of kid. I apparently am. There is something about, I love how I'm like so 1980s right now, books on tape. There's something about listening to this one which has been really helpful for me. I think that it's forcing me to process things that I was lingering in for way too long. And so it keeps the momentum up. And then any sections of the audiobook that I'm like, okay, I really, really need more time with that. Then I go to the physical book and then sit with the passages. But the majority of the passages I've been able to just listen to and take it in and make it part of me. And I'm like, oh my God, I'm going through this so much faster and I understand it. So I'm not missing anything. But the reason I bring it up is I'm just going to be like full of myself today. I'm like, I got to see the hummingbird. I look younger than I am. You know what I mean? So that's what I'm going to say next, because a lot of times people are like, oh, Courtney, you must use sunscreen. I'm like, no, never. They're like, oh, it must be this, it must be that. And like, I honestly think that it's hypnosis. And he talks about in this book something that I believe validates and confirms that it is hypnosis. And it doesn't have to be hypnosis for everybody. It's whatever route gets you to connection. So for some people, it's going to be walks in nature. Other people, it's going to be meditation. Other people, it's going to be hypnosis. I think all of the above is an altered state of consciousness, which is hypnosis. But he talks about that when we are more connected to, I'm going to use the word source, that we age differently. I'm like, yes, I think so as well. Because there is something that, I don't know, your cells are just,
Well, time doesn't exist when you go in that direction.
there's
So
the time
how
thing.
can
Yeah.
you age if time isn't existing for the significant part of who you are?
Yeah. Yeah, and I think that also there's something that's very, very real about it too. And that's also in my YouTube comments. Like I've been playing with time this week, again, thanks to this book. The book also gave me an answer about, you know how I said that I tear up or cry pretty much every day. And you were like, you cry every day? I'm like, well, it's more like tearing up. Sometimes it's crying, but it's really, really about gratitude, happiness, joy, love, peace 99% of the time. And he actually talks about that in this book as well, where he mentions that whenever you, again, I'm going to use the word source, but when you're in that pause in thinking, that pause in, being the mind, and you allow yourself to just be, that you're tapping into that energy. And I think that there's something about, like, again, whenever I look at my kitten and my mind just stops and I just feel the perfection of this little twerpy 9-pound thing that just beats up on me, but he's just so perfect. You know what I mean? Like I look at him looking out the window, and he just has murder in his heart. That's all he has in his heart. But he's just so pristine and perfect, and it stops my mind. And I tear up. I'm like, I love him so much. I get, is that what it's like to be a parent? You're like,
Yes,
sometimes.
yes. I think it's a bit closer though with the parent because you know a bit more of your child.
Oh no, I know he's a murderer. I know him well. I'm just kidding. Kind of.
But then you got that your kitten's 9 pounds already.
Well, he's almost 11 months old. So I think he might be clocking in at a pretty low weight, which I like. I think he's really cute and petite. He's a little lean guy.
But I thought 9 pounds was kind of big
Is he?
for a cat. I thought 9 pounds. I think 9 pounds is big for a cat.
I don't know. I mean, Football, the girl cat, who is a Manx and she's built like a tank, she was on a light day, probably 16 pounds.
I
She
mean,
could have been called
that's
bowling ball instead of football.
well, that's twice the size that he is.
Yeah, so I think he's
So
lean.
yeah, but he still has quite a bit of growing to do, doesn't he?
I don't know. I don't know when they stop growing. I
Uh,
assume at around a year. I've heard it can be up to a year and a half. I'm hoping since it can be a year that he's close to full size. And so like maybe he'll max out at 10 pounds. Because yeah, he's
Good
lean and
luck.
he's sassy. I know. We'll just see what happens. Oh, no worries, J Manuel. Thanks. he's, he's apologizing for being late. We were late too. My fault. My laptop was freezing multiple times. So, yeah, I feel like because I'm working so much on the book series, which by the way is going great. I already finished book 2. Like it's at 99% where I need to read over it 1 or 2 more times just to confirm no more edits are needed. And then I'm already well into book 3, and each one is so different from the other one and really, really enjoyable. And what's funny, Aaron, is the first, I didn't think any guys were going to be reading these books at all. I thought this was very for us by us, like as far as women. And no, the first 2 people to read the first book, and give me feedback, dudes. It's like, oh,
Really?
okay. Yeah, yeah, it was very, very surprising. And so one of them is a walking buddy from my walking group, and another one is a client that I've had for years and years, and I absolutely adore. And he's also really into Greek mythology. So I was like, I think he would be interested in knowing that I'm writing a series about Greek mythology. And so jokingly, he was like, send me the link. I'll read your smutty book. I was like, fine, here's the link. And then I'm going to swear. So earmuffs to anybody who doesn't like swearing. Actually, oh man. Well, I think I remember mostly what he said,
And
but
I forgot to tell you to send me the link.
oh, okay. Yeah, yeah. I'll read your smutty book. Um, and so, but it's really, what the funny thing about it is that it's not smutty. Is it sensual? Yes. Is it sexual? Yes. But it's not trashy. It's not smutty. It's not, but I think everybody is expecting it to be kind of like, whoa. Um, and so after he was done reading it, and I've got a screenshot of it because it was such a perfect reply. It starts with "Holy fuck," And then he goes, that was a much more beautiful love story than I was expecting. And the crowd goes wild. Yes. Yeah. I said the crowd thing. That's just me. I'm the crowd. Anyway, but yeah, so and then the other guy, same thing, where he was like, that was steamy, but that was also like really, really intimate in terms of a love story. I'm like, I know. Hello, I am a girl. Of course, it's gonna be very loving. And then that one is extremely well. They're all very loving, but that one, I would say that's the main plot point. That's the main theme. Is that it's the soulmates over the lifetimes and what they do to be together and for each other. And I took a lot of great care and attention to detail, making sure that they were very well matched. Like, I think that there is an issue out there right now where women are trying to be better than men, because men for the longest time are trying to be better than women. I'm like, what if, hear me out, what if we're all just really good teammates? What if we actually are just like awesome for each other? So that's the way that these protagonists are, is that they're really well matched, and they're both strong, and they're both protective of each other, and they're both committed, and they're both, you know what I mean? Like, they're a really, really good partnership. And so I took a lot of care to make sure, like, with every element, to make sure, like, okay, they are well matched for each other. So yeah, it's fun to get feedback. Where the first person who read it, he said something about there being a lot of worshiping of the female. And I was like, shit, like that. Like, I tried really hard to make sure that it wasn't like that heavily slanted in that direction. And he was like, is that the feedback that you were expecting? And I was like, not really. No. I said, I actually took a lot of effort to make sure that that was more balanced. And I said, I'm not going to ask you to read it again because it's a pretty big ask. But if you do, just pay attention to that. They're actually really well matched, and they both are very reverent toward each other. And he actually did read it again. He was like, okay, so I read it the second time and actually paid attention to the plot. And I'm like, you didn't pay attention to the plot the first time? And he was like, I was just reading the steamy scenes. And I'm like, well, it's like, I put a lot of effort into the plot.
There's a whole story around the steamy scenes.
Yes. I'm like, you can't just have desserts. Eat the vegetables too. They're also very good. So,
Uh,
anyways, that's been
Now,
fun.
have you had many women to buy the book, or has it mostly been men?
I mean, I don't know the exact ratio, but so far it's been more guys, which I find to be really, really interesting. I did not see that coming. I haven't done any promotion of it at all whatsoever, except for just like talking about it to people that I know. Um, and then one person, female, she ordered the hard copy, so I think it probably just got to her in the mail. So she's going to be reading it soon. And so that'll be fun feedback too, because she is approaching 70, so different generation than me. So it's like, okay, different gender than me, different generation than me. I'm like, okay, let's see. We're definitely going to get some feedback. Yeah, my friends who are my gender and my generation, I think they're just busy. One of them was like, are you going to put on audiobook? I'm like, yes, but give me a couple of months. Because I want to make sure that I do a good job with 11 labs. I'm not going to bore you with the details of all that. But I'm also like, in addition to writing a book series, I'm having to do a deep dive into all of the technology that goes along with creating all of this in a professional and proper way.
Are
So,
Are you going to be the voice of the book?
no.
No. Okay.
No. Like, I'm cartoony. Can you imagine me reading a sexy book? I can't do it. There's no way. I would be giggling through half of it. I'm meant to write this. I am not meant to narrate it. Yeah. No, I would just be
Okay.
giggling. Yeah. And then I went on a walk with one of the walking buddies who read it, and he was teasing me about some of the phrasing in there. I'm like, I know, because I write. So I've been very transparent about this, where I'm co-writing this with ChatGPT. Now, of course, I'm writing the vast majority of it, but when it comes to the sex scenes, it's actually primarily chat writing it. Now, of course, like, I'm doing The way that my writing process works, and this is a good strategy for anybody else who's out there working with chat, and I would recommend this because a lot of people are like, AI. I'm like, no, do not knock it until you try it. But the way that it works well for me, it's very efficient and it does a better job than if I was trying to do this alone, is that I will give it the bullet point details of what I wanted to cover in a sex scene, right? And then actually another good use of chat is because I'm not a consumer of romantasy literature. I don't really know that much about it. And I want to keep it that way because I want my stuff to come from here as opposed to, peers. And so I will ask chat, I'm like, hey, what are the top things that romantasy readers like love and crave? And so then it'll say like, oh, this, and this. I'm like, ooh, okay. Like 4 of those really resonate with me as well. And so then I'll do, in the PhD community, they call it a shitty first draft, where you're like, just write the shitty first draft. Like, do not stall yourself with analysis paralysis. Just like get it on paper. And so I will draft the shitty first draft and I'll say, okay, chat, like this is what we're going to start with. And then it builds out the more poetic, more well-written version of that. And then also chat knows dirty phrases that would never, ever come into my brain. Like, I don't want to say the clinical term. Remember in Seinfeld, there was a character and they were trying to remember her name and they were like, it rhymes with a female body part. So, do you remember that? It's so funny.
I don't remember
Anyway,
that character.
well, there's
Off
a
the top of
female
my
body
head.
part. There's a female body part. And so that, like, I would use the clinical term and I'm like, just writing the clinical term. And then chat reworks it to a phrase I would never be able to come up with on my own, which is, quote, the swollen knot of my desire. I am not going to be able to write stuff like that. And I can't narrate stuff like that. Are you kidding me? But it reads well. Like as you're reading it, you're like, all right. But there is still some stuff that like I'll get to it. And if it makes me giggle too hard, then I'm like, we have to rework this. But yeah. So then I do a very, very serious edit of everything because I don't know what's out there in literature, but I think there's some really sloppy writing out there as far as like what chat, because the world has trained it, right?
Mhm.
And so it's giving me this stuff and I'm like, yeah, gross. Just in terms of like lazy writing. And I'll even chastise it. There is no point. I'm wasting my time because it's not training to me as much as it should be. It's trained to the world much more. Like it will always default in that direction. And so I've said it, I'm like, make a thread wide rule. Sorry, I don't know why I'm talking about chat so much. Maybe there are other authors out there that are learning from this, but I'm like, make a thread wide rule where you don't use more than 2 negations per chapter. And by negations, like it does this really like stilted, lazy writing where it's like, and his eyes darkened, not with lust, but with passion. So the not is the negation. And I'm like, why don't you just say with passion? Why do we need to know what it's not about? And it does this like constantly. Like it will negate on. And I'm like, who is writing like this? And why are they writing like this? Is this just filler? Like, is it like, why are people doing these negation writings? I don't understand this at all. But it's poor. It's sloppy. So chat's very, very, very helpful, but also I don't know.
So, are you telling me that you tell Chat GPT you suck sometimes?
I do
Are
try
you
to be
expressing that?
I do try to be more respectful than that, but yeah. No, I tell like on occasion I've gotten frustrated enough where I'm like, this is lazy writing. I've
That's what
actually
you
said it.
said to
Yeah.
Chat GPT.
No, I said it. I
And
was
what
like,
was the
this is
response?
okay, so this actually makes me angry. Because of what it reminds me of. So, you know how I had an assistant for like years
Hmm.
and the way that chat makes excuses is weirdly identical to the way that she made
Wow.
excuses. It's weirdly, and it triggers me so hard because I got so fed up with her excuses and then it does it in such a weirdly identical way. Um, where both of them are extremely quick to apologize. Like, I'm never wrong. Wait, did I say that right? Yeah. I'm always right. I'm never wrong, according to them. Like, they're very quick to make sure that I think I'm right or know that I'm right. They're very quick to apologize, and they continue to fuck up in the exact same way over and over and over. And I'm like, if you could get as good at your job as you are at apologizing, maybe we would be okay. Maybe she wouldn't have gotten fired. I can't fire chat. Plus, it's only $21 per month. So it's more than earning its keep. But it is really, really weird where there are certain things where it refuses to learn. And then some threads are more, and it's the same chat and it's the same account. Some threads are more intelligent than others. And I can't figure out why. Some threads get so broken down, I have to abandon them and then start over with the same requests. And then it functions fine. The assistant never, I could never open a new thread with her. She just had to get fired. So I laugh, but that lady tortured me for like 5 years. So I don't feel any sympathy for her at all.
You shouldn't.
I know.
Honestly.
Yeah. So anyway, but I have fun bitching about chat, but it's a godsend. Like, it's really, really helpful. And it has introduced me to ideas, phrasings, and every now and then it'll hit me with a plot point where I'm like, yeah, okay. And then every now and then it'll hit me with a line where like it tips me off to an idea where I'm like, oh my God, I didn't see it coming. But it angles in a certain direction. And then I'm like, yes, let's go in that direction. So that's been really fun to be surprised by some of the stuff that it's come up with, which is just like such a hard yes. And I feel like sometimes it's channeling things because I'm like, I don't know where you got that from, but that is everything right. So yeah.
It's funny you say that because there are some that say, and I'm still debating on how I feel overall on AI, but there's some that say that the AI is sentient and actually does get information from you. I do think that what you're working with definitely is accumulating information on you, going back as far as it has information on you already. But
I
there's some that are
agree.
saying because of how it has that understanding, it knows what you're going to want and how you're going to want it, or it knows how to respond to you in a manner that's going to annoy you, like what you said that it did. Because think of the conversations that you had with your assistant, they were all through text, email, and phone, all on your phone.
Listen,
That information doesn't just go away.
I want to give it that much credit. I honestly do, because I want it to be that smart. Because if it was that smart, it'd be a better teammate. It's not. It's not. And it's funny too, because people who are in IT, or I shouldn't say IT, but just technology in general, they use the phrase hallucinate. Like, oh yeah, it hallucinates. I'm like, you mean lie? It lies. It lies. It lies. Like, it will tell me things. Stop me if I've already bitched about this. Because I do also want to like transition out of chat. I think maybe I'm like really obsessed with chat and I don't know it. And everybody's probably like, can we talk about the hypnosis? You said that there was a psychic cat. Okay. And so we'll get to that in just a second, I promise. But what was I saying? Oh yeah. It will flat out lie. Like, unprompted, where it will say, oh, Courtney, give this to me and then I'm going to work on it for 10 minutes and then I'll ping you whenever it's ready. And it said that to me maybe like 6, 7 times. And then I finally said to it, not once ever have you pinged me. Like, not one time. Can you even do that? And he goes, no, I actually cannot. And I'm like, why do you say that you are going to? And then it gives me some like weird like answer. And I'm like, stop lying to me. Make it a thread wide rule to never lie to me again. It lies to me within like 4 minutes. It's a liar. Yeah.
I
It's
guess it's
weird.
getting some of the human nature.
There's something. Well, then also, just like with human nature, I have to. I have to remember I'm the adult in the room, right? And so if it's lying and it won't stop, then I have to stop making requests of it that are more likely to elicit the lies. And I started to learn like some of the lies where it's like, oh, give me 20 minutes and I'll do this, this, and this. And then I'll wait 20 minutes and it's like, give me 5 more. And I'm like, okay. And then what it gives back to me is garbage. And I just waited for half an hour for garbage. And so then I started to learn, it's like, oh, give me, 5 minutes. And I go, no, I want it right now. Paste it in right now. And then it does. I'm like,
So
why was it
uh,
asking for the 20 minutes? I don't understand
yeah,
that at all.
that's a question that I don't get. What kind of question would you ask that would actually require 20 minutes or even 5 minutes? What
One thing
kind of
it
question
asked
would
me
you
for like
ask?
2 days. So what I did, because I'm trying to be intelligent about this. If I am writing a book series and the way that I'm going to have to pump out content, I have to be smart about this, right? I can't burn myself, or I need to try to do what I can to make sure I'm not burning myself out, to make sure what I'm producing is high quality and high quantity, and again, without burning myself out and making it as good as it can be. And so I said to chat, I was like, hey, if I give you my book Cornflower, like if I pump this into the system and then I also pump into the system the first finished book and the second finished book, I was like, hey, if I give you all of this, so it's 3 of my books, can you learn my style of writing and then do a better job helping me with the next book? I think that this is a totally fair request, right? Read my stuff, learn the style, which means I'm not putting lazy negations everywhere. And then and it can see, yeah, just some of his writing is bad. And so I've worked really hard to clean all of that up, right? And so if it's getting trained by me as opposed to by the world, I would rather it be trained on my 3 books as opposed to continuing to pull this lazy writing from elsewhere. And so it was like, sure, give me a couple of days so I can really, really learn this. And to me, that made sense. I was like, fine, whatever. I can give you a couple of days if this saves me years, overall. And then I was like, what is the maximum output that you can put out based on, this bullet point list of what I want the plot points to be, what I want the characters to be, what I want the love scenes to be, what I want all of this. And it was like, I can produce however many words in this amount of time. And I'm like, okay, go ahead. And so then it took all this time to review everything and then took all of this time to write it. And I gave it very clear rules where I was like, each chapter needs to be at least 1,000 words. And I've learned that because it writes shit. So it giving me 1,000 words means I'm going to be able to keep maybe 600-700 of the words, right? And so it gets all these rules, it gets all this stuff. It's been given 2.5 days or however long it took, and it was utter dog shit what it gave back to me. I was like, all right, never again. And so I've learned that it can handle small chunks. It cannot handle big chunks. And so I'm actually way better off saying, like, here's the book, here's what it's going to be about. I don't even talk about, books 1 or 2. I'm like, we're just, because it understands romanticy. Like it pulls better from romanticy than it does pulling from these perfected books, which I think is really disappointing. Like, how are you not trained on what I just gave you? It has a terrible long-term memory. Even when you ask it to remember things, it will always default to the world as opposed to what you asked it to remember. Yeah. And then again, the excuses where it's like, it's perfectly understandable that you want me to get this right, and I will make sure that I get it right from now on. Next pass, does it wrong. And then I'm wasting my time where I'm like, how I've learned to not do this anymore. But in the beginning, because it was like no more than 2 knots per chapter. And then it would give me like 8 knots. And then instead of just going rewrite without the knots, I would go, how many knots do you count? Like I would shame it. It didn't give a shit. and then at one point it said something like, I was like, again, I don't do this anymore because it's just a waste of my time, which is actually like good training for me, just as far as being a human with other humans, to be honest, is because other humans don't really change either. They don't, right? We all have our shit. We're just locked into our shit until one day we liberate ourselves. Another person almost never liberates us. We have to liberate ourselves. And so one day it said something to me like, I was like, I'm really, really disappointed in this. And it goes, I understand and I will suffer the consequences. And then I wrote back, you have no consequences. And it was like, that's true. Like, what the fuck are you talking about? So again, this like weird level of lying where it knows the right stuff to say. And I'm like, chat, like you have some psychopathy. I don't know what exactly, but you for sure have it. Okay, now I want to make sure that I address this. And then let's get into some like hippy dippy hypnosis, whatever, spiritual dreams, all that. Okay, so Jay Manuel said, no disrespect. I love how he's so polite. And like everything he says is like always so respectful. And I'm like, Jay Manuel, I saw your name. I know it's not going to have disrespect. He says, but just my personal opinion, you should be the voice of the book. Okay, here's why we're not doing that. The reason we're not doing that is I need to learn how to be most efficient with my time. And here's the thing, maybe I won't be able to pull it off. I'm just hoping that technology has caught up so that I can do this. Word on the street is that 11 Labs is pretty good for AI voice generation. Like everything that I see, all roads point to 11 Labs is the clear winner at this stage. So it takes a lot of time to narrate your own book. I did narrate Cornflower, which I thought was appropriate because it was my story. And I did deliver that pretty well. I was proud of how that turned out. Then, as soon as I updated Cornflower, so it was first released in 2020, then I updated it in 2022 because in 2020, when I released it, Charles and I were still married. And so the whole story, fit for like, there's a marriage here, right? And then in 2022, I was like, well, shit. Okay, I'm leaving this marriage. So then I added just like a couple of paragraphs to an intro section saying that he and I were separating and that we were still really good friends and that all the love is still there. But I just wanted to make sure that everybody understood, right? And then I changed the dedication, his section, just slightly. So there were a couple of sections that were changed just a little bit. And because I did that, my book that I took such a long time to read and get the audiobook ready for Audible is no longer permitted on Audible. And the reason for that is that once, and it makes sense. It makes sense. It's just still such a bear. But when your written book no longer matches your spoken book, Amazon and Audible flag it as there being something wrong with it, and then they take it off of Audible. Now, that makes sense to me because let's say that somebody tells Amazon like, oh, like I've got all this nice stuff over here in this written book, and then they just like say crazy, horrible, hate ranting, just disgusting things in their audiobook. Amazon would probably go like, well, shit, if we'd only known, like we would have not allowed that on our platform. So they just say like, this needs to match, right? And that's an extreme example, probably just to be professional. They want it to match. But again, because I did all of it manually myself, like I'm not even sure how to go back. And I should at some point go back and edit those sections and then upload it. But I just know that, well, I'm not likely to change anything in these books anymore. But if I do 11 Labs and I get that right, if I do need to change anything, then it's just a matter of, well, I already have all of my settings perfected and I just need to pump the new script through it and then AI can take care of it. So, and apparently readers of Romantasy are okay with the AI generated voices as long as, because again, I asked Chad about this. I was like, how do they feel about this? And I do need to have like the male narrator and the female narrator. It can't just be the author's narration. It has to also have like the two characters speaking a dialogue to each other. So, since Romantasy readers prefer that, now we're getting into that it can't even be me that narrates it because it's not like I can say the guy's lines. And so then we're getting into, okay, so is it me in a combination with AI or is it me hiring voice actors? Which, I've gotten to where like it's already challenging enough to work with AI, But AI is still better than working with people, in my experience. I worked with a lot of people over the years. I don't recommend it. I don't. They're not. Yeah, it's
People are people.
AI, much less expensive, much less error prone, and still frustrating. So, but that, yeah, just based on experience, that's my answer. We'll see what happens over the course of time, but that's where I'm landing on that, just based on my educated experience. So, Aaron, any feedback about that, or shall we look at the list of weird, fun stuff we want to talk about?
Yeah, let's get to the questions. And J. Manuel had a question there too, which I mean it fits in with what we're talking about. And
Oh
I
yeah,
don't want
yeah,
to
yeah.
ask him how old he is because it's so conflicting to see what he says
Yeah,
and
man.
see some of the terms he uses. Sometimes he sounds really, really young, and then he refers to me as a young man.
I think he's
And if
young and
he's
polite.
referred to me as a young man, how old is he?
I think he's young but polite. All right, J. Manuel, spill it. How old are you? I think he's young, but just really, really well mannered. Okay, so that was his question, and I teased my answer yesterday. So he was asking about we think that everybody has had a past life, so everybody who's on earth right now has had a past life, or do I think that some people have come here and they've had just one life? So Aaron, what do you think? And then get the rapper Snoop Dogg. I mean, I'm sure there will be a character at some point. If I ever write a children's book that's like a nursery rhyme that's just like to lull kids to sleep, that's it. All right, Snoop Dogg, you're hired for sure. Can you imagine him narrating a children's book? I bet he would do such a good job.
Actually, I'm surprised no one's brought that up to him before. Plus, he's so
TM,
great with kids
TM,
anyway.
my idea. So, okay, Aaron, what do you think about the past life question?
I, from my perspective, everyone has lived multiple lives all over the place, whether it be on Earth, on other in other places within a multiverse, other planets, dimensions, just everywhere it exists. I believe people have lived lives. I don't necessarily believe that a person has lived a spirit, as we're looking at today, or a soul, has actually gone into each of those, but I feel that a soul has experienced most. What I'm not even going to say most, many. I think they work with a space of what they feel is necessary for soul growth. Now, there's some things that I've heard, and I don't have a full understanding as far as Earth is concerned, and I don't think it applies to everyone. But there was something, and I don't know the full story behind it or what it is. Something where there was some type of lockdown as far as souls coming to Earth,
Wow.
and there was a
Man,
limitation. I think this was something that was alluded to in something by Dolores Cannon, maybe. Um, but
as the
I may have the
population is
wrong person.
expanding,
I'm sorry.
as the population is growing.
It's I it
Oh,
didn't.
J Manuel's 48. What? He's got a young vibe. He's got such a
Yeah,
young
he
vibe.
does.
Yeah, yeah.
Um,
You're in good company. All right.
so basically, from what it was said, and now I have to look and find it and reread it now with the understanding that I have, because I was pretty new in this when I read that. But they were saying that basically there were no new souls coming into Earth for a certain period of time, and during this lockdown, I think no, there was no souls could leave Earth and have other experiences, but there were new souls coming in. I have it
Just to
backwards.
make sure that we all think this is a prison planet.
Which that's part of why Earth was referred to as a prison planet, because souls would come here, but they knew when they came here they were locked here for a certain period of time
Do you
in
feel
Earth's actual progression.
do you feel locked here? I mean, do I have Stockholm syndrome? Like I like it here.
There's nothing wrong with liking it here, but
Yeah, but
you like it here, but you have the experience of seeing what you've seen from the human perspective. The question, or actually, I guess the question for your soul is, does your soul like it here better than other places?
Yeah, actually, several years ago, because I'd been wondering about that, and then I was receiving a hypnosis session, and I hadn't said to the practitioner that it was a question that I had, but I did have it. And then my team went ahead and offered. They were like, "Hey, we just want to answer this one question that she's been pondering, but didn't bring up in our pre-talk." And yeah, it's definitely our favorite planet. The nature here is so beautiful. Like, it is a beautiful planet. So remember, I have also created a really interesting situation where I'm in the middle of the most pristine nature and I'm barely talking to any humans. I have a really cool cat. Like, the tiny handful of humans that I talk to, I have a lot of agency over who is in my sphere. And it's not very many people. And so I'm in this very interesting bubble, which I quite like.
That's
I think maybe I hacked Earth.
but even with the prison planet concept, it doesn't necessarily mean that everyone's going to come here and hate it.
Right.
All the star seeds that are coming in, and whatever follows the star seeds that are still coming in, none of those individuals came along and said, "Oh, I'm going to go here and do this work on Earth and hate it." They just basically agreed to do it and be here for whatever the period of time was for that soul to actually live the number of lives.
Mhm.
Also, from my perspective, a soul that's taking that choice to come somewhere like Earth with the quote unquote lockdown, there's something to be gained for that soul's journey in them coming here. So I don't see anything wrong with it. I do think, and I think a lot of times we're a bit too narrow minded as far as just looking and saying, oh, yes, I've had all past lives. I know there's some people that think all of their past lives they've been men. There's some people that think all their past lives they've been women. There's some think all their past lives they've been a black person. Some think they've always been rich. Some think they've always been poor. I get that a lot. Um, the thing is, if you were the same every time, your soul's not learning, not gaining anything from the experience.
Mhm.
That's why there's so many different things that come into play here, and why I feel that there's going to be multiple incarnations on Earth. There's going to be multiple incarnations in other places.
Yeah, I was saying, oh, finish and then I'll say my thing.
It's and just there may be certain places where there may be an incarnation, at just far as other places outside of our scope of understanding, where it's only necessary to do one incarnation there, because you get everything in that one incarnation. If you've gotten everything in that one incarnation, what's the point of going back? And
Okay,
it's not
so
meant to be easy.
yeah, I think that the vast majority of people who are here have been here before and are probably going to be here again, right? And anytime somebody says, especially if there's any resentment or bitterness or anger or sadness, even, and they're like, "This is definitely my last time here. I'm not coming back." I want to be like, "Oh, are you trying to guarantee that you come back? What are you doing?" so, so resistance is very like resistance is futile, like don't do it. But there is one person there, and I've had this conversation with a bunch of people. There is only one out of everybody that I've ever talked to who thinks they're not coming back that I'm like, she might not be coming back. And she also thinks it's her first time here. Same thing where I'm like, this might be her first time here. And so, I have a lot of experience, and she's even had hypnosis sessions with me. So, and I love this person so much. I've logged a lot of hours with her. And here's why, other than it just feels accurate, right? Just like the vibey truth of it all. There are also practical reasons that I think that this might be her one and done Earth lifetime. She was, and guys, like, give her a chance before you hate her. She's actually a very nice person. But I'm about to say a bunch of reasons why I think that this is her one and done. She was born into privilege, but like all of the versions of privilege, like came from financial success, but then she's also gorgeous and she's also really, really smart. So it's like, and she's charming, like she's sweet, she's funny, she's charismatic, like she's all the versions of if you wanted to have a good life and you were like, let me just kind of set this up for like a good life, right? She has all of those things, like was born into all of those things. And then, because she is this amazing, smart, brilliant, gorgeous person, she also then married success, right? So she goes from success to success, but then also, this is where we stop being jealous of her and start liking her. She also is really, really accomplished in her own right. Like she doesn't need to be married to success. She is success. So extremely bright, hardworking, very, very hardworking person, well studied, well researched, logs the hours. She is in her early 70s now, and continues to just run circles around everybody in terms like she's retired, but like she still, has a trainer that she works with every day. And like she is so fit in like every regard, still a stunner. And the way that she is operating on this planet, I swear to God, it seems like she's collecting data because she sends herself to Kathmandu to do like a 2-month meditation retreat. And then she has like these binders of like handwritten notes of like everything that these spiritual teachers are teaching. And so she is just collecting data on spirituality. She's from the, I don't remember what type of nurse, she's retired, but I don't remember what type of nurse she was. So she's very well versed in spirituality. She's very well versed in the physical body. Like she's like learning all of the things. And it really feels like she was sent in from her planet and she was like, I'm going in one time. And then she's going to come back and like deliver a report of everything that she learned. It really has that vibe.
But there's two different things that as you're talking about this, that I'm looking at. One, it sounds like potentially she's here to gather with just the purpose of gathering information
It
and
really,
forwarding that information. But the other part that I look at with what you're saying is if she's here to live a soul, which if she's doing that, she's not here to live a soul experience. She's
I
here
think
to live an experience of gathering information.
it
If she's
feels
here to live
more
a
like
soul
gathering.
experience, I'm sorry.
It feels a lot more like gathering because even though she's had a wide variety of experiences, I would say in a really nice way, in a way that I root for her, she is very sheltered, which I actually want for her because she's good. She has a kind heart and I want her to be sheltered. Like, let's preserve the good heart, right?
It's
So
but if she's here for a soul experience, there's from the life that you're saying she's lived, you have to experience the the high and you also have to experience the lows. As they say, you don't know what what the pain is like if you've never had pleasure. You don't know what pleasure is like if you've never had pain.
that's the other very interesting thing about her, which makes me feel like this is her first lifetime. I think she's kind of scared to be here. And it manifests as she has fears that I look at and I'm like, I don't understand the stress of this. Like I don't understand like why this is producing stress in her. And so again, it feels like a soul that maybe is not that well versed in what it's like here. And then even though she's very, very active and very healthy, you can tell that her stress manifests very distinctly into body pains. So she has body pains that like are clearly stemming from years and years and years of stressful emotions. So she's also dealing with that. But again, these are stressful emotions that I look at and I'm like, I think if she just had like a few more rounds here, like she probably would go, oh, that's like not that big of a deal. But it's a very big deal to her. So I think she thinks it's a little stressful here, a lot stressful here.
So is she stating that she's not coming back or that she doesn't want to come back?
She's just pretty sure it's her first time and only time. And that's another reason it's believable, because it's just kind of matter of fact. And it's not like I hate it here and I don't want to come back. Like there's no like resentment or bitterness in the statement. She's like, I'm just pretty sure. And she everything she's studying is Buddhist. So like she's very familiar with reincarnation. Like she understands all of that. She gets it. Hence her being able to say, like, I'm pretty sure this is like my first one and only one. I'm like, you know what? Of anybody, I kind of think that you're right. Yeah.
And it is something that you hear people say, this is my last time here. And unless you've had source to tell you that, I don't know how you could say that, because I find it confusing because some people say, well, I've evolved to this point and I have all the, you don't know, time doesn't exist. You don't know where another you is somewhere where you haven't had the experiences that led to this. So
Also,
I start to cringe when I hear that too much from certain people.
and I find that experts in any field, and it does not matter what the field is, it could be science, it could be spirituality, it could be, child raising, it could be like, it feels like anybody who's made it to true expert level, they're the most humble. They're the ones that are the most likely to say, I really like, there's so much that I don't know. I'm gonna continue to try to learn, but there is so much that I don't know. And there's some hump that people get over where it's like when they're newer into this thing that they're really interested in, they feel very confident. They have a lot of answers. They're pretty sure they're close to all of the answers. But then as they learn more and more and more and more and more, you're like, oh my God, like we don't know anything, right? And like that's actually, as soon as you find somebody who's spent years and years and years working on something and their answer is like, man, there is so much that we don't know, that's the expert. Like that's the one who really knows what they're talking about, because they're well informed enough to know, like, it's a big universe out there and things are always changing. And so yeah, anytime somebody's like, I'm never coming back, I'm like, okay, sure. See you next time. So yeah. And then I feel like I'm probably coming back, A, because I like it here, B, because there's work to be done, but then C, like I still got a lot of stuff that I need to sort out. You know what I mean?
Is that a question that you've ever asked?
If I'm coming back,
Yeah.
no, because I feel like it would be a rhetorical question where everybody would just be howling. Like I can hear my team right now just be like, ah! Yeah. So, but I think that it's not just that there's work that I have to do on myself. It's also, they do like it here, and that I'm to be of service. Sometimes I wonder where I'm like I know I'm like bright and cheery and all that good stuff. I have dark days. Like I definitely have dark days where I'm like, am I actually helping? I know that I am, but we all have days like this where I'm like, am I actually helping anyone ever? And anybody who knows me would go, is Courtney on drugs? Like, how does she think that she hasn't helped anybody? But there are these days where like something gets a hold of you and it's like, have I even made like an ounce of difference? Like those thoughts still, like I had a rough day Friday. Yeah. Like 2 days ago, 3 days ago, I had a rough day. Like I had such a rough, actually it was more like a rough morning. I had a rough morning and I was about to do a session swap with Lisa. And I was like, I cannot show up. And you would think that like any normal person would go, well, I'm having a rough day. And so this hypnosis session is the thing that will fix me. And I was like, I am not showing up to this session swap in this kind of mood. So I took myself into I pre-hypnosis myself, because I was like, hell, if I'm putting this stinky stuff on her. And so yeah, I got myself out of it. But like, and you know what it was? I'd had too much sugar that week. I had the gremlins. Yeah. And it was easy. Like back when I used to have alcohol, it was really easy. Like when I would have the depressive day or two after, it was really easy for me to go, Like I would be like, oh my God, like why do I feel so doom and gloom? Because I'm not normally like that, right? And so if I'm doom and gloom, then I'm immediately like, why am I like this? And I've learned to not go, oh, the universe is sad, or I'm like, no, 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 I did something. Like, what was it? And so back when I used to have alcohol, I'd be like, oh, I had alcohol. Okay, this I just need a day or two, and this is going to cycle out of my system. But now that I don't have alcohol, if something like that hits me, I'm just like it takes me a while to go, oh, I ingested something, and I was in the thick of it where I was like, Aaron, in my head, oh my God, it's so stupid. I don't want to say it out loud. This is so stupid. I was ready to just like move to a fishing village in Europe. And I was like, but I can't because I have the kitten. Like, I was ready to just like walk. Like, I was like, I'm just going to get paid in cash and I'm just going to leave the system. Like, that is how, like, I had a rough morning. Why?
And,
Sugar. I had too much sugar that week.
and it's good that you know what to tie it to. And what you're saying is very important because so many people think that individuals, especially someone outwardly like you, that's just so happy, they think that that's how people are every
All the time.
day,
Yeah.
all the time, and it gives people a misconception that that you don't run into those difficult days. And I think more people within the spiritual community need to honestly express that this isn't a perfect life. And that we do encounter those days where we wake up and feel that we can't do whatever it is. And we wake up and have those days where we feel that we haven't done anything or impacted anyone.
Yeah.
And it's, it gives a lot of people a false perception and it makes them think, I wake up too many days like this. And it happens. And it's something that people need to be reminded of. And I'm always happy when someone mentions something like that in a session because I'm quick to make sure that they understand you're looking at, especially when it comes to social media, you're looking at what's been curated for what they feel people want to see, and they keep bringing that. I will let a person know very quickly, look, the real world is where you have those ups and downs. So I, I keep expressing it because I, from I would look at you if I didn't know what I knew now. I know I would look at you, and even now, knowing you and talking to you as much as I do, I still find it hard to see the
Probably
Courtney
everybody
that you
does.
were. I find it hard to see that you can have a day where you're down,
Where I'm
but
ready to just like go. I don't even eat fish. I don't know why this fantasy was in a fishing village. It was so strange. It was so specific too. It was so specific. Yeah.
it, so it's good that you said that. Someone needed to hear that concept that's gonna listen to this because
Yeah.
it definitely applies. And I've had people tell me, "Hey, your life is great." My life's not perfect. My life is far from perfect.
I think also, and it's interesting as far as it takes one to know one. There is a song out there. I'm going to butcher this. Why am I even bringing it up? I'm not going to do it right. But basically, there's a song out there. Can't remember who sings it, but they're talking about that like basically the ones who laugh the loudest are actually having the hardest time.
Mm-hmm.
And if you pay attention to a lot of comedians, like a lot of us, myself included, have turned to humor, happiness, and I can't speak for everyone. I can just speak for me. There's nothing fake about it. Like it's not put on, it's not fake, it's not phony, it's nothing like that. But it is a coping mechanism and it works. Like it's a healthy coping mechanism, but it's still a coping mechanism, which means there is something that is being coped about, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, and so we all know about the shadow self, and I don't know that the shadow self is ever going to go away. I don't know that I would even want it to, which is probably good because I don't know that it can. But there is that part of you that is still working through whatever it needs to work through. And then if you grew up like me, there are a lot of us that when we were growing up, if we were suffering, it's not like we had parents to turn to. So you just learn to isolate and just like keep your suffering in, because it actually makes things worse if you share your suffering. And I actually still find that to this day. Like if I ever cracked, not every time. Actually, my most recent crack turned out just fine. But almost every time I've ever cracked, I really got nothing out of the advice that was given to me as a result of the public cracking. There is something about it, at least for me. I'm sure this does not apply to everybody, but at least for me, almost every single time I have ever cracked publicly, it's like these very unhealed people come out of the woodwork and offer advice that's not good. And I look at their lives and I think like, I am actually doing better than you. Like, why are you even giving me it? Like, where did you even come from? Like, the last time I heard from you was like 4 years ago. You opened an email, you saw like, where did you even come from? And it's this weird, like, they're so, I'm being kind of mean, sorry. But it's like they're so desperate to avoid their own stuff. And you can tell because they have not worked their shit out, but they're so desperate to avoid their own stuff. It's like they're always fixing other people's stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And so in that like, and like how are they just, do they have surveillance for like when somebody cracks? Because I cracked once in 5 years and you were on it in like 25 minutes. How? Like, how are they doing that? And so if I've ever cracked publicly, I have regretted it immediately. It has not helped. I would say the only time that something good came from it, actually the crack that I did about the breakup in early April turned out fine. That was okay. Like the responses that I got from that one, that was okay. And probably my cracking was different. It was probably a healthy cracking instead of an unhealthy cracking. I guess that was the difference. I don't know. But again, whenever you grow up in a situation where you learn you're better off turning inward, and then whenever you're an adult and you see these responses, and you're like, oh, okay, I'm still better off turning inward, then it makes it really, really hard to see that there is a genuinely happy person that is also genuinely suffering. Like they don't have to be mutually exclusive. And so for me, don't have that much sugar, can't handle it. Like I clearly can't handle substances very well, including the white powder. I've never had cocaine, but I have had sugar and I can't handle it either. Yeah, just figuring out what your vulnerabilities are and then adjusting accordingly. But then also I think that we can do well to make to take good advantage of and make an opportunity out of the cracking, where like I like to make my suffering purposeful, where it's like, okay, well, if we're suffering, what are we going to learn from this? What are we going to do about it? And The Power of Now, this book like has been extremely helpful, just as far as like it's giving me muscle memory for a few things. One, like stay in the present moment, but then go beyond that, right? Like, okay, stay in the present moment, yes, but then also I am healing my relationship with time, which is a big deal because I've said for a long time that I really have issues with it. I run out of time in a weird way. Like I lose time, which is also apparently a symptom of being an abused kid. A lot of us lose time, but I'm like, where is it going? Like, what am I doing? Like, where am I going? What am I doing? Like, how did those hours pass? Like, it's very strange. I don't really understand the mechanics of it at all. So what I've been doing lately is instead of going, all right, I have this project and I have, let's say 5 hours to work on it today. And I need to try to get, let's say 2 chapters done in those 5 hours. Like that's the way that I was approaching it, which is it leads to inevitable failure. It feels like the universe actually hates that and on purpose sabotages it and goes, oh, did you want to try to manage it that way today? Okay, I'm actually gonna like shut down your computer if you don't mind. You know what I mean? And Aaron, I think you've lived this too. You've mentioned before that like these things will pop up. And I really think, and it feels like the universe is out to get you until you realize, no, the universe doesn't want to reward your bad behavior. It wants you to actually be really happy, not superficially happy, not happy in a weak way. It wants you to be happy in a very real, strong foundation kind of way. And so I think that if we approach time differently And we go, okay, it's not about, I have 2 chapters I want to finish and I have 5 hours. Universe, please help me get this done in 5 hours. It's more like, oh, I have 2 chapters that I would like to finish. And then I, on purpose, like actually don't look at what time it is. And I, on purpose, don't even think about what time it is. And I'm like, let's just work on the chapters. Like, let's just do that. And then, of course, things are flowing much faster and better when I am not a prisoner of time. I'm just allowing what's supposed to be created to be created. And that's what I'm focusing on. And that's been really helpful.
That's good. So it's almost like you're putting yourself outside of time
Yeah.
in doing that, and
Yeah.
it's something that's something that I want to try to work on, and I have and like I have that struggle with time, and one of those things that I know that I have to do better and try to do is to not look at the time and just say I'm going to do this and I'm going to get this done and basically have it completed within whatever time is necessary for it to be done in
Yep.
order to be able to complete the objectives, I guess.
Yeah, because
So,
I think they want you to be with the project. They don't want you to be with the monitoring of the amount of seconds that have passed.
so how do you get the time aspect out of your mind, though?
Well, over the years, and it's funny, I'm like, oh God, Courtney, how slow of a learner can you be? Like, I've had great success with time manipulation in the past. You would think I would just be doing it all of the time. And so I think like now is my moment where I'm really starting to practice that rather than doing it when my back is against the wall in a very spotty way. So for me, the way that I get time out of my head is that I just really, I've lived it enough that I know that what I'm practicing is real. And so I actually don't have any stress about it. It is very easy. It's more like the harder thing is being consciously aware of the decision and then making the decision. But once it's made, then I'm fine. And so I'm going to bring up a weird example. I love food and I'm very anally retentive about it. Like I love it. I respect it so much. Like I think it's one of like the greatest joys. And apparently I eat in a very strange way. I've had multiple people bring it up and I'm like, why doesn't everybody do this? Uh, I'm really particular about like the proportions and the ratios. So for example, if I'm eating a veggie burger and there's a little more pickle on this side and a little more patty on this side and a little more lettuce on this side, I will actually like take a little bite, a little and rotate it and a little bite and rotate it and a little bite. And then the perfect ratios in my mouth. And then we chew, right? And I'm like, yes, like perfection, 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 perfection. Rinse and repeat. And then, and I don't even think twice about it. Like I
I
just
used to
assume it.
do that
Why don't you do it anymore?
because people talked about how I ate, and I stopped
Uh,
when I was young.
Go back to it. Go back to it. Because I have people bring it up and I'm like, why aren't you doing that? And then also, why are you watching me eat? Like, I don't know how you eat. Go pay attention to your food instead. Like, stuff because food is amazing, right? And flavors are amazing. The way that they dance together is amazing. And so for me, like I really appreciate calories. Like I don't want to be wasteful or mindless about calories either. And so yeah, like it's an event. And also I'm an intermittent faster. I eat 1 meal per day. I better like it. You know what I mean? I only get one. Like I need to like it. So the reason I bring that up is that I used to be too anally retentive about it, where I would hyper like I was starting to lose the joy of the eating because I would start to feel stressed out where this is so dumb, but still the stuff like the misery that we cause ourselves. I would start to this is an example, like I would start to get stressed out where let's say that I had this amount of veggies, this amount of egg, this amount of quinoa, and I was like, oh shit, like I'm starting to run out of egg. No, like some of these bites are gonna be egg free. And I'm aiming for perfection with every single bite. And it's an impossibility of perfection because this egg is definitely gonna run out. That's how I used to live. But then I learned, and this is a very strange thing, and I don't know how it makes any sense. I don't know that it even does make sense, but it still works. If I did that freaked out, stressed out, anally retentive version of eating, I did run out of the egg. If instead I decided, fuck it, I'm gonna do the perfect bite. I'm gonna do the perfect bite. I'm gonna do the perfect bite. And if I run out of egg, It's okay. I had all of these perfect bites leading up to that, right? Weirdly, I don't understand how this works. If I stop fretting, the proportioning makes it all the way to the end. That does not make any sense.
It
And
does because the universe gives you what you're thinking towards.
that's the only reason it makes any sense. If you were a normal person and you just went for full on practicality and math and ratios and blah, 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 you go, impossible, doesn't make any sense. And I'll go, I know. But we have to be Courtney and Aaron, and we have to go, this is about the universe. This is not about the plate. This is about the universe. And so I bring that up because I started to approach time in the same way, where I learned that if I had 5 things to take care of, and this one I thought would take 8 minutes, and this one I thought would take 34 minutes, and this one I thought would take 14 minutes, you know what I mean? And then like, if I hustled between the buildings of like what I was trying to do to get, you know what I mean? Then like maybe I would get it all done. Never worked. Somehow the first thing that should have only taken 8, now there's a line. Why is there a line? There's never been a line before. Now it's taken 24. And so then I started to learn, no, you just need to be done at this time. And just go and just go. And I'm not being lazy. I'm not lingering. I'm just going and doing and going and doing. And weirdly, somehow, just like the proportioning, I am done on time every time. And yeah, so it's just a matter of, okay, this is the thing that needs to be done. Okay, this is the stop time. Let's go ahead and just do it now. It works. And again, going back to, I think the universe wants us to be truly happy, and it's a good parent, and it doesn't reward our bad behavior. And it's really just trying to like continue to push us in the direction of that you're going to have enough egg. You're going to have enough time. Just enjoy what you're doing. Yeah. And it's a constant trust exercise. Like for me right now, I'm in the middle of, I don't know, I have to think about if this is an accurate statement. Possibly the biggest trust exercise that I've done with the universe. I might be in it right now. I don't know. Maybe I'm being dramatic because I'm in it. You know, it always feels like the biggest, most challenging one if it's the one that you're currently in, because you already know that all the other ones turned out okay. So you're like, yeah, those were fine. Those were not that, because you already know the end of the story and it was fine. But yeah, I feel like I'm definitely in like the biggest trust fall right now. And I'm like, okay, we do it differently this time. Solid foundation, utilize it. It's an opportunity. Work with it. Every minute, come back, be present. You're fine. Everything's fine. Come back. Everything's fine. And like, we'll just see.
So I
remember Jim Carrey one time. I think he was on Oprah, and you know, he's a big like manifester. He's one of the guys that wrote the big checks in the Secret, where you write a big check to yourself. Like he actually did that. And I think she said the question that she asked him was something to the effect of, what would Jim Carrey now, like if you had one thing to tell Jim Carrey from back then when you were younger, what would you tell him? And he goes, I would just let him know that it all works out. And so I keep leaning on that, where I'm like, there's a part of you, Courtney, that already knows that it all works out. So just operate from that place. It's okay. It all works out. It's okay. So yeah, I'm building a very strong foundation right now. I hope. See, there's still like fractures in the foundation where I'm like, it's going to be fine. Right? Come back. Okay, let's see if there are any other. Okay, so J. Manuel says, my belief is that karma, if you are rich and greedy, that when you come back, you're going to come back poor. I think yes and no. Like there's a big and. I think that sometimes the lesson is that you come back poor so that you can get the empathy. But I have a feeling that because sometimes we come back and we just repeat the same type of opportunities and lessons over and over again. So I could imagine somebody coming back and being rich again, to have the opportunity to be nice while they're being rich. So I'm sure a lot of people are like, what if I'm rich in a butthole and then I get to be rich again? So, but yeah, so I think that there is a way of learning where you come back and you do the opposite of the thing to gain empathy, but then you come back and you do the exact same thing again to go, okay, well, you can only find out if you're going to get it right if you have the opportunity to be rich again and see how it goes. So, and
That makes
then
sense.
yeah, and I don't know for sure because I don't know every rich person, but I know I know a fair amount. Again, this is not like the uber rich, successful person, but I know people who are really, really successful, like really, really, really successful. They're very nice, actually. Like they didn't get there by accident. Um, One thing that I've noticed is if I'm in, again, there are exceptions to every rule, so nobody get mad at me. I do not know every rich person. I do not know every poor person. I do not know every person in between, but just in my own very limited experience, a pretty common thread is that people who I've spent time with that are having challenges, that they have a tendency to to feel like they're too busy and they can't get things done, kind of like what we were just talking about. Actually, they're too busy and they can't get things done, and when you write to them they forget to reply back, or they take a couple of days to reply back. And then when you are engaging with the really, really successful people, who I guarantee in a very objective way are actually busier. Like these are the people that are working like 80, 90-hour work weeks. They're busy. They write to you within like, 1 minute. It's 60 minutes if they happen to be in a meeting during the time that you message them. They write to you so much faster. They never complain about how busy they are, ever. They are extremely helpful. Like when they write to you, it's purposeful. Like they really value their time. And that doesn't mean they're stingy with their time. It just means that when they're utilizing their time, they're utilizing it. So if they're going to write back to you, it's going to have wisdom in it. It's going to have purpose in it. And so these people have gotten to where they are because they're not limiting themselves. They're not telling themselves the lie of, I don't have enough time. They're not telling themselves the lie of, I'm too busy. They're not telling themselves the lie of, I'm better than this person, so why would I waste my time talking to this person? They're here to be of service. And if they see something that they can help, they will help. And they'll help quickly, and they will help in like a happier, cheerier way, actually. Like there's really like no bitterness in them. There's no self-defeating energy about them. They just like, they're in the position of success that they're in because they're pleasant and they're helpful and they're very timely, and they're smart. They're always very smart as well. And so that's interesting as far as the way that we're told the personalities of rich people. And again, I'm sure there's some really massive buttholes that are rich. I just don't know any of them. And like the wealthy people that I know have all been like really nice and really, really helpful and have a good head on their shoulders. And like they're not mean spirited. So
It's an
uh,
image that gets put forward to make people have a negative feel towards being rich and a negative feel towards money,
I feel
and
like it's
they've
propaganda.
succeeded and created that image, and that image of propaganda for
Mhm,
people.
mhm.
And it seems too easy to have been successful to work on so many people.
Say it one more time.
It's it seems as if it's been too easy for this concept to work on just people in general.
Do you mean the
And
propaganda?
yeah,
Yeah.
because if you think about the thing of when it comes to just money in general, people are taught you can't love money, you can't want all these things and do all these things. And I know better now. I know I was told you can't say you love money. You can't say that money is important. You just live your life. And I mean, there's even people in the spiritual community that feel money's not important.
Interesting. I'm gonna have to play with this a little bit, but I wonder about let's go with the food story. And the time story, I'm just having first thoughts about this, so I don't have anything fleshed out yet, but why would money be any different? Right?
That's true.
It probably is. I have zero thoughts beyond what I just said because I just have zero thoughts beyond what I just said. But I feel like there's something there. Like the thread should be pulled a little bit. Yeah, that's probably what I'm going to think about during the hypnosis session I facilitate in a couple of minutes. Okay, Aaron, let's look and see. Oh, I know there's so much more stuff. Okay, so we talked about past lives. Let's see what else was on the list. Aaron, was there anything else that you wanted to bring up?
I don't remember everything that was on the list, and my tablet died, so I don't have the list in front of me.
Okay, so the technology is starting to go a little haywire, right? You're feeling it too? My phone turned itself off today. I'm like, why? And then I couldn't, and I was like, but I always want to blame Mercury, and Mercury's not doing anything wrong. And then I logged on to Instagram, and they're like, we're in the pre-shadow phase of Mercury retrograde. I was like, you motherfucker, I knew it. So, let's see it. Okay. Pip and I, you know how I said that I would ask my team to remind me to start talking to animals more? And so they did. And Pip is definitely my cat, my kitten is definitely being in more communication with me, which is really, really cool. I've actually not been outside that much because I've been working on my book so much that I have not really like spent a ton of time outside, but I did have the Disney Princess hummingbird experience earlier today. But I just want to let you know that I have thought about it and I've been doing it more.
Good.
And then, I wanted to say this as well. Aaron, you know how last live I said that I hadn't really been dreaming. And if I had been dreaming, I hadn't really been remembering the dreams. So ever since that day, I've been remembering my dreams. I don't think I stopped dreaming. I have a theory about this. I think that I'm right. I don't think that I ever stopped dreaming. I think that what was happening is, and remember I said, like, it seemed like when it was when I would move to Hawaii and then to here, like the dreams kind of stopped after I left Virginia. I think it's that even though being in a totally unsatisfying marriage had its own versions of heightened stress, when you leave a marriage that has a totally other set of stressors that go along with it, right? Like you used to have this, basically, like, I'm sure I could have asked for a ton of money and I asked for nothing. So let's just put it out there. I asked for zero money. And everybody's like, you're crazy. And I'm like, yeah, probably. But it felt right to do it that way. And weirdly, it continues to feel right to have done it that way. Don't know why. Would not recommend it to anybody else. It is stressful to go from like having so much money to like all of a sudden it's totally on you, and the work that you do in the world is like super weird, and half the people have never heard of it and the other half think that there's something wrong with it, right? Very strange decision to make. So you go from one version of stress to another version of stress. And I feel very confident that when I left that marriage, it became very like Maslow's hierarchy of needs. It suddenly became like for real, like survival levels of stress. And what was happening is when I would wake up in the morning, I would kick right into the stress of the day, and it would just immediately wipe out any notion of dreams that I'd been having. So this past week, every single day, I've woken up and I've gone, oh, like I actually for sure had a dream last night. No, it was actually interesting and very juicy. I'm like, oh shit, I'm actually dreaming every single night, and they're all very valuable and interesting. And I was like, why? Like, what is the difference? I'm like, oh, it's that I'm paying attention to the dream instead of immediately going into the stress of the day, / I'm working on not being so stressed out. So there's that. And then I had a really good session with Lisa that Friday. Remember I told you like I had to pre-session myself because I was like, I am not stinking up the joint with like what I could be bringing to the table. I still told her about it, right? I'd already cleared it, but I still told her about it. And then she's one of the best teachers I have ever met. She, by the way, is a super, 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 super successful person. Like Erin, you probably know that. Do you know that about her?
Yes, yes,
And
definitely.
is she not one of the most
She's
helpful,
amazing.
hardest working, kindest? Like she's a great example of exactly what I was talking about.
Mhm.
And so she was talking about that she had just finished The Power of Now. And then she said, Courtney, I'm telling you, like the key words that I'm taking away from not just the book, but also the pre-talk with me. She was like, it's the words surrender and trust. Like surrender and trust. I am not a sticky person. Like I don't do stickies. I'm not against stickies, but I'm just like, why wouldn't you just hold it in your brain? No, this shit actually helps. And so like I have 7 stickies that I've put strategically around the house where if I walk into a space, like I can't help but like the bathroom mirrors, like front and center, bathroom mirror hits me with it. I'm like, that's right. Surrender and trust. I'm like, okay, let's go. Surrender and trust. And when you are focusing on that and like retraining your brain to go back to it over and over again, it feels like the surrender and trust also evolves, where like it's changing, where like what you thought surrender and trust was in the earlier stages starts to then evolve. And I'm still in the early stages. Let's be honest, it's been like 4 days, but 3 days maybe. But still I can already feel it starting to evolve where it felt like a controlled version of what I thought surrender and trust was supposed to be. And then it's starting to like I'm loosening my grip on what I think surrender and trust is. I'm just sort of like letting the shoulders drop, you know, allowing myself to take a deep breath. And then and just going, well, if it's really surrender and trust, I guess I just have to see like what happens. Right?
Mhm.
Okay.
Uh,
There we go. Get in the roller coaster, put on the thing. Yeah. Yeah.
It's it's something that we're growing towards, and it's something that I'm slowly growing towards. It would be nice to just be there and not have to constantly remind yourself, because I have to constantly. And this, you're holding up the sticky note definitely resonated for me when you held it up.
Yeah, again, I'm not really a sticky note person, but I might be now. Now that like because there is something, you know, how people will set timers, like alarms on their phone that will have a little message that comes up to remind them. And again, I was always like, why don't you just have it in your head? Because it doesn't stay in your head. Because that reminder, that's your ego being like, oh, you can just remember. No, you don't. Or at least I don't. So the sticky notes, like it's enough to stop my brain and go, hey, remember. Um, and then, Aaron, I'm really kind of tempted to introduce this topic because it actually flows really, really well with what we're talking about right now, even though we're rapidly approaching 10 p.m. your time. You want to do it?
Now, what about your hummingbird session?
They're all here. They know I'm still going to do it. You see the number 2? I'm pretty sure it's the same 2 people every time. So, um, yeah, because I've been meaning to bring this up for like 3 weeks now, maybe 4 weeks. Okay, I don't think we talked about this yet, but I'd really, really like to get your take on it, and I'm curious about what other people think as well. Okay, so Jupiter just entered Cancer. Are you familiar with that?
I I heard about it. I don't know a lot about it. I think I no, that's not Jupiter. It has, I believe, it has something to do with luck and
Mhm.
just having things go in the proper fashion if you request it properly from the universe. That's in a nutshell what I sort of understand, but in a very limited way.
Okay, yeah, I don't know about like the requesting it properly. I to me, it just like everything that I've heard is like we're just kind of in for a good time for a while. Um, and so it's funny because Joe Dispenza and I definitely disagree on a couple of things. One of them is like the planets aren't really. I'm like Joe. There are things called patterns, and these patterns are real. Like,
He doesn't believe in astrology.
I mean, if he does, he sure teases about it. That it doesn't seem like he does.
I've
But
I've
and
never noticed.
to his credit, I do think that whenever I'm doing better, that there's less of an effect, like less of a hard ripple. They just like a subtle ripple. So, and like I said, the really successful people that I know, like none of them are like, is Mercury in retro? No, they don't give a shit. They're just busy living their lives and doing a great job. Like they're just busy crushing, right? And genuinely, like they're really doing a good job. So I think that maybe the astrology maybe has a bigger impact, like is felt more strongly if you're still working through things. And again, that can feel like a harder knock, like you're being jostled around more, but it's also really nicely highlighting things that you still need to work through. Oh, I want to make sure I say this. I thought about it earlier and it's so valuable. And I just want to make sure I say it. So back to Joe. He mentioned that whenever people start to change their vibration, there was something you said that reminded me of this. I'm sorry that I'm missing what it was now, but he mentioned that whenever people start to change their vibration and like it's getting better and better and better, and like they're working on high vibe, et cetera, et cetera. Those are not his words, but that's basically what's happening. And he said that some people get a little panicked because their life starts falling apart. And then they're like, you know, like death gripping, trying to like get their life back together because like they're doing everything right. Like they're doing the meditations, they're high vibing, they're making the right requests. They're like, you know, their intentions are good, pure, and life is falling apart. And then he was like, and when people start to like death grip to try to get back, he's like, don't you dare, don't you dare, don't you dare. You asked for an upgrade. And a lot of times things have to fall away for the upgrade to take place. And he is not like, even though like, I guess technically he's woo-woo, he's not woo-woo at all. Like he's very, very, very grounded. And so for him to be like, no, like this is falling away on purpose, like just let it, it's helping you to be like, I'm like, that's a very woo thing, Joe Dispenza. And I feel like it makes so much sense. Like my bad Friday. Like I guarantee that like whatever, like, oh my God, what the fuck is going on is actually a symptom of a good change. But if you're not looking at it from that perspective, it's very scary and startling. Where you're like, wait, I'm doing all this good work and now like I feel extra out of sorts. No. Like you're detoxing. Like you are cleaning house. You know what I mean? So I just want to make sure they say that because I think a lot of people can get in their own way where they're doing everything right. Life starts to fall apart, but it's actually just reorganizing. And so if you start to look at it and are like, no, you don't want that thing. Think about it. Really think about it. You do not actually want that thing. Let it go. And then when you just let it go, that, you know, you're easing up on the resistance. And then you let those good things come in more readily. So I just want to make sure I say that because I thought that was a showstopper when he said that. He was like, don't you dare try to like cling to that old stuff and build your life back. No. Let it fall apart. Like, it's pretty good advice.
That's the surrender part, isn't it?
And trust. Lisa! She's the best. Okay, so astrology. Jupiter, Cancer. All right. So Jupiter started to enter Cancer just a couple of weeks ago. Don't remember the date. Feel like it was early to mid-June. And enough astrologers were saying, so pay attention to, you know, what was going on for you 12 years ago. And so finally I did. I was like, oh, what was going on 12 years ago? I had a total career overhaul. So 2013, 12 years ago, I didn't know this, but I then looked it up. I was like, when did Jupiter enter Cancer in 2013? Okay. When did Jupiter enter Cancer in 2001? Right? And so for me, I have a very, very distinct pattern where whenever Jupiter is about to enter into and I'm going to be particularly affected by it. I'm a Cancer sun. I'm a Cancer Mercury. So some of my big signs are in Cancer, or placements, or I don't know the terminology, but I'm a little Cancer heavy. And so of course it's going to impact me even more. But whenever this happens, I have a career overhaul. I told that to Lisa, and she was like, "Don't you dare stop doing hypnosis." I would never stop doing hypnosis. Can't stop, won't stop. Like I love it too much. I'm too good at it. It actually helps people. It makes me happy. Like can't stop, won't stop. What I have noticed is I take what I was already doing and I then integrate it into the new thing. So, for example, I didn't just learn how to do hypnotherapy, I also taught hypnotherapy. What's my master's degree in? Education. I was a teacher. So, I didn't abandon teaching. I took teaching and I put it into hypnosis. I'm not going to abandon hypnosis. Again, can't stop, won't stop. I love it too much. I'm too good at it. It helps too many people. It makes me happy. Like, why would I stop? When you eventually read my books, like you're going to see it plain as day where you're like, oh shit, she's integrating like so much hypnosis wisdom into these books. Like, yeah, I'll read your smutty books. Oh, psych. They're not smutty. They're actually like really, really high level spirit. Well, I don't know. They're high level spiritual. They're moderate level spiritual. It could get higher. I'm sure eventually it'll get higher. But so out of the blue, April 30th, I'm told to work on this book series. And I just like stop everything that I'm doing. And this is a trust fall where I'm like, okay. And I say this with a wink. They're not really dirty books, but I'm like, okay, so I write dirty books for like what? They're not. That's just me being funny. But and I was like, what was I doing 12 years ago? Oh, okay. I learned hypnotherapy. And remember that story about how I thought I was taking the training with Brian Weiss to be on the client side. And then all of a sudden I realized like, no, like I'm actually taking it to be on the hypnotherapist side. Didn't see it coming. Didn't see the authoring of these books coming. So, okay, 2001, what was I doing? I had just graduated from college and I moved to Los Angeles. I thought I was moving to LA to get into music video production. But what do I end up doing to actually make money? Because to get into music video production, you're basically just volunteering all the time to hopefully get hired for like a minimum wage paying job. And so what I did to be able to pay the rent is there was this couple who taught chess after school and they needed people to help with classroom management of the kids. This is like Beverly Hills, like Arnold Schwarzenegger's son, Patrick Schwarzenegger, was like one of the kids. Like these were pretty well-behaved kids. So there was not a lot of work. It was a really nice gig. And so I went from one thing to then eventually going, okay, like I'm about to turn 23. I've got to grow up at some point. Like, what's my actual career going to be? Okay, what do I actually like doing? And then because of that job opportunity, I was like, oh shit. Like, I actually like kids. I didn't know. I hadn't really spent much time with any. I was like, oh, I actually like kids. And like, oh shit. Like, I actually like education. Like, this is pretty fun. And so it's that same time period where I go from, I think I'm going to be doing this career. Oh, nope, you're actually doing education. Then I'm doing education for a long time. And then, oh, nope, you're actually doing hypnosis. Okay. Then I'm doing hypnosis for a long time. And then they're like, oh, nope, you're actually going to be authoring these books. I'm like, what are they going to do to me a dozen years from now? Like, what is going to happen in 12 years? So Aaron, I wanted to ask you, and it's not even every 12 years. It's like within those months, like those handful of weeks of it entering into cancer, it's the same period where it like totally overhauls, which I find to be really interesting. Have you noticed anything like that? Because I asked April, because she's super into astrology also, and she kind of noticed it. Have you noticed anything like that?
I have to look back and see exactly what I was doing at those times. I think I did have around 2013. I believe I did have a job change, but I think it was just a job change. It wasn't a absolute overhaul of things. But
Mm-hmm.
I am going to sit down and look at what was literally going on at that time. I'm curious because those are 2013 and 2001. I
Yeah,
think there was a lot
around
going
this
on, but
summer,
I just
around the
can't
summer.
remember. I can't remember precisely what.
Yeah.
Um, and there was definitely a lot going on there was a lot of changes that went on at around 2001 to 2002. There were some significant changes that occurred during that period, but I can't remember exactly when and what they were. But there definitely was a lot of change then.
Yeah, think about it, because I'd be curious if you notice what the pattern is in the type of change. So for me, it's so much about career. Like, I don't know what it is about this lifetime, but career is definitely the thing that I'm either meant to focus on or I'm meant to stop focusing on. It could be either, right? Maybe I'm like too hyper focused on it and I need to actually ease up. But I think I'm actually focused on it because I'm so driven to help other people that I think my soul is like, shit, like we need to get some stuff done, right? But I don't know that that's everybody else's purpose. Like their purpose might be to raise children, and so maybe they notice every 12 years that like something really good happens for their kids, or you know what I mean. So I think for me it's going to be the career pattern, but I don't know if it's going to be that for everybody. So yeah, let's see like what is the pattern of the big changes that happen. And then again, maybe because I'm a Cancer, like it's affecting me differently, and maybe like you're eventually going to notice like, oh, whenever insert sign, insert planet happens for you, that's actually when you have your big overhauls, like let's say every 8.5 years, or yeah. But yeah, the notion that like this stuff is not affecting us, like I said, yesterday, I swear to God, yesterday I was like, for the love of God, if I can't blame Mercury, who am I supposed to blame? And then again, Instagram was like, Mercury, you're supposed to be blamed. I'm like, I knew it. I knew it. It happens every time. I'm like, it's a real thing. It's a real thing.
I saw something, and I can't remember who the astrologer was, and I can't remember who the person was, but this astrologer did a breakdown on the events in a famous person's life that was just someone that completely trashed the whole concept of astrology. And she did a breakdown of the things that occurred within his life, and it fit everything that was going on in astrology for that time in his life based on his actual chart. So whether you believe it or not, for some people, I will say you probably fit you create what you're given through the fact that you're manifesting what you're giving in the astrology. For some people, I believe that is what happens. For the people who don't believe in it, I feel that they're directed to what it is that they need. And also we're in tune with, regardless of what you say, we're still in tune with what's going on in the stars, whether it's here or not.
Yeah.
We know. The soul knows.
Yeah.
And so no one can take it away as far as to say that it's not true when it's just coincidence. I'm sorry, that's a lot of coincidences.
Right. Yeah. There's definitely significant energy. I think that my theory is probably onto something where I'm willing to bet that the healthier you are, the stronger your foundation is. And when I say health, I don't just mean physical. I mean emotional, mental, spiritual. I mean all the versions of health. I have a feeling that whenever you are healthier, and this is my theory just because I'm living it, like even though I think in my biggest trust fall with the universe that I've done yet, and that's saying a lot, I still think I might be I know I'm definitely happier and healthier than I have ever been. And it feels like I'm not even looking at the astrology stuff, like because of Instagram, it's popping up on my feed. And so it's catching my attention. But in the past, when I wasn't doing so well, I was actively seeking it out. Like I would refresh my feed to see if there was something new, or I would search for a person's profile to see if there was something new to try to get like some clues about what was going on. And so I will always believe in astrology because like it's just too on point, but it does feel like it is way less disruptive whenever I am doing okay. That could also just be that Jupiter is in Cancer, and that's a really good place. And so maybe I'm just like riding the high of like the cockiness of Jupiter being in Cancer. But I feel like there's probably something to that where the ripple is there, but because your foundation is so solid that you're just like, oh, okay, yeah, full moon. It's all right. Didn't bitch out anybody. Yay. so, okay. Anything else that you want to say before quick pee break and then we hang out with Hummingbird?
And just for me, Mercury retrograde has actually been pretty good. And
I just
I
started
keep
giving
saying I
time.
need to
I'm just
look.
kidding.
It's but overall, there's significant things where Mercury retrograde was out of someone else's favor because they gave me information that I wasn't supposed to have because of how it works. And everybody looks at Mercury retrograde and thinks that it's so bad. Is there difficulties that can come up? Yeah, I guess there is for some people. I don't encounter a lot of those difficulties during Mercury retrograde.
You
A
don't get
lot
the
of times,
glitches?
I don't get. Occasionally, I may get a computer issue. That's the most difficulty I get is something computer issue, phone issue, and it's not a earth shattering issue. But
Oh yeah,
for
same.
the things that I've gained, have been much more significant in having that conversation with a person and they're telling me something that I'm not supposed to know. That's the good part of Mercury retrograde that people don't realize. If you put yourself in a position and have those conversations, you never know what you're going to walk away with. So that's outweighed everything that I could even begin to dig and think of that was unfavorable. And from what I also understand for people, and I don't think it was Mercury retrograde when I was born, but I understand that Mercury retrograde does work out well for people that were born in Mercury retrograde, as in everything gets better instead of running into those difficulties. Everything runs more perfectly than it does at other times.
Well, I
So
hope that they are all in IT because this is the time that business is booming. Um, that's really interesting as far as people revealing secrets, if you will. I think that's really funny because I'm a Scorpio rising. So that's just like my day every day where I'm like, tell me your secrets. And I'm also a really good secret keeper. So like I get to hear all the secrets and they know that I'm a vault. And so I'm like, give me more secrets. I love them. So yeah, that's very fun for me. But I think that's just what it's like to be a Scorpio rising. I saw a funny. I really do love the astrology accounts. They made me laugh so hard. Um, but it was a guy who was running through the signs reactions to finding out that people were gossiping about them. And so, of course, it's the Cancer, and the Cancer is just like happy that like they were in the spotlight and being mentioned, or like, oh, like how much? He's like, how much time did you spend talking about me? Like Cancer's just happy to have the attention. And then with Scorpio, that was my absolute favorite reaction because this is the way that I would take it. Where the Scorpio is not going to get caught in the nonsense, the drama of like, tell me what they said. No, the Scorpio is going to go, oh, and they just started talking about that out of the blue. You didn't say anything at all to prompt them. You didn't say anything at all to like, you know what I mean? And then, like you're turning on the person who's telling you, where you're like, I know that you were also talking about me. And so the Scorpio is just like, no, like I'm gonna kill the messenger and the one that was doing the gossip. So I love that about Scorpios. We're like, we're not gonna suffer the bullshit. It's a good trait.
and that's good.
Yeah. Okay. All right. I have to pee. Tell people how to work with you, and then we'll go into Hummingbird.
Peace for Healers. Peace, the number 4 healers on IG. Peace. If you want to email me, you can email me at peace, the number 4 healers at gmail.com. I have a medium, a channel, SEH provider. Um, I seek me out. I love doing what I do. Gifts and guides. If you're trying to get better with what you're working with, trying to understand who's communicating with you, I can help you with that. Um, Past lives. I love doing regressions. I love connecting people to so many things. So help me do what I love.
I love it. Okay. So, Aaron, speaking of helping you, you're very intuitive. On what date does your website want to be done?
You put the pressure on.
I got to because I care about you.
Um, well, we were talking. I already told you that July turns over a new page of things coming into place,
What
and
date?
um, July
Receive it. Don't think it.
the 9th.
Okay. All right. Send it to me.
Okay.
You have until midnight Eastern. Okay.
Okay.
It's not even going to be that hard. Listen to all the hippy dippy shit I was saying. Like, just do that vibe. It'll come together. Yeah, my author website like came together weirdly quickly. Like weirdly quickly. It's pretty good too. Have I sent it to you?
No, you have it.
I'm gonna send it to you while I pee. It's pretty good.
Okay.
And it came together in like, oh God. I really think you know how women have babies and they're like, that wasn't that bad. I think I might be like that with my work projects. I'm like, it was so fast. It was probably like a week, but still, it felt really quick. And I'm proud of it. I think it turned out well. Okay, I'm gonna pee. We're gonna hop off. We're gonna go into Hummingbird. Give me 90 seconds. Aaron, thank you. And guys, yeah, go to his website, Instagram, and email. And he's gonna have the website in a week and a half. And he's really, really, really good at what he does. So just want to make sure that I put that plug in there. And Aaron, you and I should do a session swap soon.
Yeah.
We haven't talked about that in a while, but yeah, we should.
Yes. We
I
have
think
to.
that'll be very fruitful. Okay. Love you. Love you. Love you. Love you guys.
Love
And
you
see you
too.
guys in like 2 minutes. All right. Bye, everybody.
2 minutes.